Today I'm going to tell how to make these. And we're having burgers. James is having that one, and I'm having the one that tastes more like chicken.
I had that this morning.
Both vegan. And I'm going to be drinking blood. No, I'm drinking beet hot chocolate and turnip juice and cranberry. So I'm going to talk about all sorts of things. So basically this is like how to make your own granola balls or protein balls, depending on what you want to stick in it. And what I stuck in it was this. So I did that to make my carrot chai and to make my beet hot chocolate, and then I turned it into that. So you could follow that recipe and you could make it very easily too. So I'm all dressed up for Halloween, but it's not quite a matching costume. It's a devilly sort of thing. See, because I have a tail here. And it's not a very good tail.
It's got to be something you can kind of see.
I do like these bead things around with the little hearts.
Pretty nice, you know.
And the horns, I don't know if I really got those on straight.
Let's see. They're pretty straight, so yeah, it's amazing. Okay.
Ruby gloom gloves.
See?
So that I could still eat my burger.
Yeah, pretty good.
I'm just gonna slam this back.
So is it Valentine's Day or Halloween coming up? Do you want to inform our viewers? Yeah.
So yeah, I'll show you all these. There's lots and lots of bars in this box. There's this kind, and then there's a whole bunch of other ones that I stuck in this box, and I would not recommend any of them. I mean, you can eat them. I was given these for free, so there's this one, but the ingredients, there's lots of them, and not all of them are good food. This one, and again, lots and lots of ingredients, and not all of them, again, are good food. This one, there's not very many ingredients on there, but honestly, the dates and raisins, they must have used the poorest quality, because it tastes worse than just dates and raisins. And anyway, this one has a lot of things, including natural flavor. So it says it has no BS. But if you look on the back, on the ingredient list, there's actually natural flavors in there. So that's not all that's in there. And this again, lots of stuff. We'll talk about soy protein and stuff like that a little bit later. And this bar, still a lot of ingredients, not necessarily all ones that you want. So, and well, this one, this is absolutely, they're called Kind Minis, and they're very small, and the ingredients there aren't maybe the best ingredients.
So there's a lot of polysyllabic ingredients?
Well, I'll talk about all of these things later, but anyway, there's this one. There's the ingredients for that, and that's what I'm having, is this vegan bagel thing, gluten-free. But honestly, it's not that good. I'll talk about why later. Rosemary focaccia, that's what James is having his burger on.
That tastes pretty good, actually, considering that there isn't much real bread.
Enriched wheat flour is the #1 ingredient on that. So we'll talk about that later. The cranberries, it says 100% of the profits go to the farmers. Well, maybe. I don't know if they have migrant workers or how that works out. I mean, maybe some people don't classify the migrant workers as farmers. So, or maybe they really are. Well, 100% of the protein's going
for their labor.
Yeah.
So they just don't get paid appropriately.
Yeah. And there's the ingredients in this lemon cranberry scone. So you may be thinking, oh, well, I'd rather have cranberries in this lemon cranberry scone, or I'd rather have them in this cranberry almond crunch cereal. And there's the ingredients on that. There's a whole lot of them. And a lot of the ingredients are not food in those. It's not healthy to eat this way. So,
speaking of healthy, your horns aren't looking healthy anymore, so I'll straighten them up. Yeah, while you were leaning down, I think they kind of got. I'll just fix this one. Oh, it's going to be hard.
My horns are not
just
working.
Just leave them
right.
down, you know, like.
Okay, I'm going to take my horns off.
There we go. Better.
There's my horns. They can sit there.
One looked like a crumpled horn.
Yeah.
Kind of looked like Elvis's ear, you know, the one ear that kind of sits down. So.
If I wanted to make my protein bars out of, a lot of people make it out of cereal. They'll just mix cereal, bought cereal like granola or whatever with some stuff, and there they have protein bars or whatever. But you can just use, like I use oats, but you don't have to. You could use other things if you can't eat oats. But like for this one, I've showed the recipe for as though I had put ground almonds on the outside of all of them. But here, the front one, I use ground almonds. And then this one, I just use cocoa powder. This one, I use poppy seeds on the outside.
That looks very flashy.
This one, matcha powder, green tea powder. And this one in the middle, I put to show you, that's greens powder, that one on the outside. So you can put protein powder, whatever, on the outside of these kind of balls that you make. Or you could put it on the inside. Or you can, a really nice color is spirulina, but it doesn't taste that great. And the greens one, I'd rather have on the outside of my balls, not even the almond flour. I'd rather just grind up my own almonds, or I'd rather have sliced almonds on the outside actually, rather than the almond flour, because I want the skins of the almond as well as the innards. So, oh geez, thanks for the blanket. I'm going to use it.
That's for you.
Yes, because it's
I left it over on that side specifically for you.
This outfit is really quite chilly. So, anyway.
It's made for Halloween in warmer climes.
Yes, or indoors. I can wear this indoors. But anyway, so with the gluten-free products, a lot of the time, the first ingredient, this one's water, but potato starch, soya flour, tapioca starch, glycerin, brown rice flour, but then there's some other things in there, chickpea flour, cellulose, which would be pulp, or it might actually be sawdust. I have no idea. Super seed and fruit blend. And so there's all sorts of like organic things in here. So what I'm trying to say is there are actually a lot of good ingredients in here which might tempt you to buy this. You might be like, oh yeah, well there's organic quinoa and organic sprouted whole buckwheat and all sorts of things in here, including shiitake mushrooms. So, but there's a lot of things in here that you don't want. And you don't really want to be eating the starch. I was given this for free, and I'm very thankful for it. But it's not that attractive, and there's not very much food in here. The starch is basically like eating sugar. So I'm better off, if I'm going to want some sort of an instant product, I'm better off making it myself. I can make why would I want to buy any of these granola bars? Like this one here has peanuts, glucose syrup, almonds, honey, sugar, soy crisps, which contain soy protein isolate, tapioca starch, salt, palm kernel oil, peanut butter, anyway, all sorts of stuff. And I'll eat these because James can't. He can't eat peanuts. But I mean, this is not a great product because you can't even, like, if I'm making something, I want to know if the ingredients are healthy and still edible. So with peanuts, I can try them on the dogs. They love peanuts. So if they don't love the peanuts, there's something wrong with the peanuts. Because dogs have a better sense of smell than we do, and they love peanuts. So but this, I can't try it on the dogs because it has the chocolate in there. And also it has, you're looking at it first and you're like, glucose, that could be okay, honey. But then it has sugar too. Why would it have sugar too? Well, I imagine that for the chocolate they used a sweetened chocolate or something like that in there when they were making these things. Well, nobody who is going to spend money on some bar made with honey and glucose is going to want the sugar. So whoever came up with this product really was not thinking, because if you're a health conscious person who's going to tune in to, wow, they put honey in this, then you're not going to want the sugar. So that didn't work out so great. Anyway, and with the cranberry stuff, you might be tempted by the cranberry cereal and the cranberry scones and thinking it's healthy or whatever. Juice your own cranberries and put that in the burgers. Did that one have the cranberries in it or not?
I think so.
Okay.
I think I see.
So he's eating some cranberries in his burger. And my juicer doesn't juice things really thoroughly, so my pulp actually has some juice in it still. But I don't know. If you have
great.
more money, you probably have a juicer that extracts the juice more thoroughly. I don't know. Anyway, so James is going to talk about this stuff. Turkish stuff.
Nope.
Yeah. Elementary Turkish. And then he's going to talk about Atlas of Current Affairs.
Not so current anymore. That was published in 1939. A portentous date. That's the year World War II broke out officially. The Japanese got a head start by a couple of years. They weren't warmongers, I want you to know. I'm a little bit sensitive because of my little shoulder when we were with Asian Americans.
Oh my God. Yeah, cranberry real. Don't buy cranberry juice. Juice your own cranberries. And it doesn't taste good.
Medicinal, right?
Yeah, but you know, I was doing too many things. Like I was eating some of that rosemary focaccia. I made it into pizzas, healthy pizzas with asparagus and sliced Brussels sprouts and stuff like that.
It was amazing. Very tasty.
Yeah. But my hands are achy. I'm having a hard time using my hands again because I was eating stuff like the rosemary focaccia, which I cannot have. I can't have the grains.
Because of the inflammation.
It hurts. Right? So, yeah. So now I'm drinking more cranberries because that'll take that down. That'll make my fingers feel usable again.
So, Current Affairs Atlas, 1939. Put out just before World War II officially broke out. This University of Calgary. Anyway, it's about politics, and it's depressing, you know, to see how, you know, it's looking at problem areas. Some areas that are problems still, like Iraq.
I almost ate a wig hair.
A what?
A wig hair. It was in my mouth. Oh, that's so bad. I'm sorry, I'm distracting from your presentation.
Anyway, it's a pretty good little atlas. It's interesting to see how attitudes have at least officially changed. semi-officially. Published in England. Very concerned about British position in the world, like the Suez Canal and access to its big colony in India. Less than 10 years, India is in the colony period. Great Britain or United Kingdom, whatever the official name was. But, it's really the English. Reminds me a little bit of the foreboding, at least I feel today. I don't think we're on the edge of World War IV. World War III was the Cold War, as I see it.
Whereas I think we're already we're still in a world war. I don't think it ever.
Russia has made itself very obnoxious. Anyone who doesn't realize we're in a Cold War with Russia is looking at the world through rose-colored glasses, or should I say pinko-colored glasses. And we're actually in a Cold War. That is, I'm not talking about Canada or the United States. I'm talking about the democracies of the world. And I'm including Japan, Taiwan, relatively democratic, South Korea against China, People's Republic of China, because Taiwan should be the only entity. No, I've got to admit, I used to, well, Taiwan's kind of liberalized since I was a kid, but I thought People's Republic of China should be in the United Nations. I was wrong. They should be excluded. They're not interested in peace and prosperity for all. They're interested in advancing their own aims around the world.
Are you still hungry?
What? Thanks. Yeah, those are she likes it.
The
I'm pretty
patties
sure.
are delicious.
I had one of these this morning.
But now
It's just there's a lot of edible matter in those burgers. Doesn't matter, but particularly those ones that are the chicken wings.
Well, they're very filling. But
yeah, that's what I mean.
no, I'm gonna have this, and this is starting to cool off, and I want to eat it.
But the
before.
juices actually are quite filling
Yeah.
too. Is what I find. You're getting a lot of.
And I'm gonna have one of those balls. So I don't want to. I don't need to eat too much because I already. I mean, this is like, well, 1.5 rutabagas and 1 bag of cranberries there that I already have.
I'm not making it up.
Lots of beets.
I've been there, done that. So, yeah. So I'm going to eat the balls a little bit later. I'm going to finish this up, I think. Because, like I know what it tasted like, its companion tasted like this morning, so it's going to be just great. And I'm still hungry, like I'm on a little bit of dexamethasone, that increases the hunger, but I'd be hungry for more of the burgers anyway. So at any rate, I recommend this Current Affair Atlas. It's on cheap paper. It's not because England was borrowing for the war that much. They would have been scared by the Germans, but they were relatively unprepared, except for some of their airplane design and manufacturing things, the Spitfire, etc. But it looks as though the 30s didn't treat them that well, so it's on kind of like Russian toilet paper. And that's like Russian toilet paper from about 30 years ago, so I don't know if it's gotten a little bit better, but yeah. So, you're not going to be able to get this republished or anything like that, but it's kind of eye-opening. There's Palestine and what the British were proposing as Israel. Stunningly shameful. It's stunningly small.
Date pit.
Didn't even include any of Jerusalem, really. So it's just funny looking at all those things.
My pitted dates that I bought were not 100% pitted, I guess.
Yeah, you got to watch
I'm having
that.
some bad luck today.
My attitude is if you're eating dates is eat it slowly and make sure you are biting everything. You don't want something like that to crunch your teeth, and even worse, get in your stomach. Anyway, here we've got Elementary Turkish. This is a more recent publication. I believe it was published initially in 1967, republished maybe 1984. Let's see how well my chemo brain is working. 1967, 1986, off by 2 years on the republication thing. And yes, it is a Dover edition. Thank you, Dover, for putting these things out. You know, it's hard to run across a Dover book that isn't fun in one way or
That's
another.
delicious.
And so, written by Louis V. Thomas, most of it. Revised and edited by Norman Itzkovitz. I'm probably mispronouncing that last name. It's written in the German style, but it seems to be a Slavic name originally. And Louis V. Thomas, unlike a lot of people, doing kind of like a life's work near the end of their life here on Earth, didn't quite make. Most people, they finish it up and there's nothing holding them on, keeping them alive after that. Didn't quite make it, so Norman Itzkovitz finished it up with Louis V. Thomas. It's a wonderful book. It's a little over 200 pages with all the sidelights added and stuff like that, prefaces and so on and so forth. It's a pretty good format. Yeah, it's paper, but generally their binding doesn't hold together. They boast about their binding Dover books, but that's the worst part of the book. Printing's quite nice, so on and so forth. The vocabulary's a little bit lacking. Not every word that's used in the text and the exercises can be found in the vocabulary. Generally, they're found there. So the vocabulary is quite useful. How well was it organized? I've exposed myself a little bit to Turkish over the years, but not much. Not enough to get to the point where I could read even an elementary text in Turkish. I started this on the 18th of October and finished it the 26th of October. So that's parts of 9 days, and really, if we're looking at 24-hour periods, 8 days. Blasted through this. What is this like? It is written at a sophisticated enough level so that I would say it's going through it and treating it with the proper respect, you are going to get the equivalent something of a full course in Turkish, reading Turkish, speaking Turkish. You got to generally work with any language. You got to work with a speaker. But you've got to put in more effort than the person or one of the people who owned this before I did. They highlighted, and this is the only highlighting they did on vowel harmony. I found that kind of cute. Sometimes people just burn out on things or whatever, so that's maybe not their fault. Who knows? They might have ran into hard times, might have had to work 2 jobs or whatever, might have had an unexpected kid, so on and so forth. But it's it actually comes highly recommended, and I think I'm going to be able to read elementary text. And the test will be 2 texts, Mutluluk Prince and Pollyanna. So these are things, Mutluluk Prince is something like
Pollyanna came in finally.
Oh, it did? Well,
yes.
There we go. I'll be starting, once I get back inside, I won't have a dictionary with me. I'll just be using this vocabulary, and I'll be looking at going from one text to another, because I've got the original Turkish and the original for Pollyanna. For Mutluluk Prince is The Happy Prince, written by Oscar Wilde back in the day, a little over probably 200 years ago. Okay, what were you going to say?
Well, now I'm going to explain how to make the balls.
There you go.
So you can make them as balls like that, you just roll, or you can press them into a wax paper or parchment lined bread pan or something like that to make bars, and then you just slice them after. So you press them in on the wax paper, and then you pull up the wax paper to put the bars that are squished flat to coat that, you know, onto the cutting board, and then you slice them. And that's how you make bars, if you want to make that into bars. So they're a no-bake sort of thing that way. If you want to dry them out afterwards for some reason, if you don't like them moist, then you can dry them out in the oven. And I would do that after you slice them. That's all. So now how I did this is I juiced on the front, I said 13 Palliser carrots. So I was buying those 10-pound bags of carrots, and 20 Palliser beets is how I made the hot beet chocolate. And so I juiced those things separately. This is just the beet chocolate that I made, and I make a carrot chai. And I was going through 4 cups of carrot chai and 4 cups of hot beet chocolate every day, pretty much myself, because, well, maybe 3 cups of the carrot chai. James liked the carrot chai, okay, so he was having some of that, but
I'm not a big fan of chai, but the carrots kind of livened it up or whatever.
So, anyway, so you juice that, but first for the carrot chai, you take your spices and the ginger, and you cook it in a little bit of water. So you just cook that for, I don't know, 5-10 minutes, whatever. Just on the simmer, on the stove. And then you strain that out, and all the spices and stuff like that out. So you just have the liquid that is all infused with the flavor. It's very nice and strong at that point. And then you put the carrot juice in and warm it up. Not to boiling. You warm it just to where it starts to steam, because then it retains that beautiful bright orange color. If you let it boil, then it doesn't taste as good. It still tastes good, but it's not as nice a color.
The color is very nice.
Somehow a reddish orange.
A lot better than the usual chai.
Yes, it's very nice. Anyway, so that one has no... Oh, and if you're using which I was using, I forgot to write it down here, but no, I did write it down. The coconut, the shredded coconut. So the coconut you put in with the carrot juice, so that when you strain the carrot, you strain again before you serve it, and that takes out any solids that might be there in the carrot, which you can see there's still a lot of color in my balls, so there was still quite a lot of carrot solids in the simmered carrot chai. And besides, the coconut got the color of carrot also. So, and with the hot beet chocolate, well, the coconut got the color of the beet and the cocoa. So, but with the hot beet chocolate, you only strain it once, because there's nothing, you're going to consume all of the stuff that you're straining out with the hot beet chocolate. Whereas the carrot chai, you don't want to put balls with whole cloves and peppercorns and cinnamon sticks and ginger in.
That would be a bit tough to
wouldn't
do.
be good. So anyway, and so you take that stuff that you've strained, like there'll be the beet solids with the dates and stuff like that. You take that and you mix the oat flour, some more dates, because I made it first without putting extra dates, and James didn't find it sweet enough. So I put more dates, and then I put some cinnamon and some extra cardamom in there, and they're delicious. They're excellent. So even if James